What's going on, Niner faithful, and to everybody watching this video? It doesn't even matter if you're a Niner fan, you could be a fan of any NFL team, but back for another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Earl Thomas, and if he could possibly end up being a 49er next season, or if the Niners should go out and try and get Earl Thomas and try to bait him into coming to San Francisco. Now, there's advantages that the Niners could have, but there's also disadvantages, and one of the disadvantages is Earl Thomas is a Cowboys fan. He's been a Cowboys fan since he was younger, and that could possibly play into his free agency next season. He's talked about wanting to play for the Dallas Cowboys before, and I could see it end up happening. I could see him going to the Dallas Cowboys, but the advantages that the Niners have is, we know Earl Thomas hates the Seattle organization. He doesn't like playing there. He wants to have a new start and go somewhere where he can pretty much start new. And I believe that the Niners could have a possibility of going out and getting him is because, for one, Sherman and Earl Thomas are still really good friends. I know that for 100% of fact. Sherman and Earl Thomas are still very, very good friends. I don't know if they talk on the daily. I don't know if they talk monthly. I don't know how much often they talk, but it could end up in a scenario where Richard Sherman tries and maybe ends up succeeding in getting him to come from San Francisco. Now, I don't know how Niners fans would feel about this, because personally, if you are fine with Richard Sherman coming to San Francisco, we know he was my most hated player before he came to the Niners. But if you know about him, if you didn't gripe about Richard Sherman coming to the 49ers, then why would you have a problem with Earl Thomas coming to the Niners? And that's why, personally, I don't think it'd be a bad idea for the Niners to try it and go out and get him in this upcoming free agency. So, personally, I think it'd be perfect. We need a defensive back. Yes, we could go out and get Greedy Williams in the draft if we really, really want to get him and want to get a defensive back that bad, but Earl Thomas is a veteran. He still has play in him. He can still play the game of football, and I think it'd be perfect for the Niners to go out and try to full-on get him in this upcoming draft. So, personally, for me, I'm all for it. I want the Niners to go out and get Earl Thomas. He could start at the strong safety position, and we could end up cutting either Adrian Colbert or Kwaski Tartt. Now, I don't really want to. I don't know how that play in the Niners' eyes. I don't know how that play in the Niners' vision, because obviously, if we bring in Earl Thomas, he would start. So, would that mean he would? I would assume he played at the strong. He did play at the free safety in Seattle when Cam Chancellor was there, but when he retired, they moved him to the strong safety position. So I don't know how that play in, if he'd play the free safety or the strong safety. If I had to take a gander and the Niners go out and get him, I think he probably would play the strong safety position. But either way, I think Sherman could go out and try to get him to come to San Francisco, because, for one, he plays his former team twice a year. His former team does not want to pay him money, which he could obviously show them year in and year out, twice a year, that they should have paid him. So he's in the same division in the NFC West. He doesn't like Seattle. We know that. He flipped off the bench in that Twitter thing that blew up just a few months ago. So we obviously know he does not like playing in Seattle. And that's how Sherman was. They didn't want to extend Sherman either, so they ended up releasing him. So it's kind of Earl Thomas is kind of in the same boat as Sherman was. So if Earl Thomas were to come to San Francisco, you could have Earl Thomas and Sherman on the team. They could both be playing their former team twice a year, and they could beat them twice a year. And that'd feel good for Earl Thomas, because Seattle will not pay him the money, and I don't know why Seattle won't pay him the money, because he's one of the top-notch safeties in the game, but Seattle does not want to pay him money. So you go out and get Earl Thomas, and the Niners are in a position for one, getting better in the secondary, and for one, getting better overall defensively. And I think the Niners need that. Our offense is more durable and more, I'm not going to say diverse, because that doesn't even make sense. I think they're more ahead of the game than our defense is. We have Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a leader. We don't really have that strong leader on our team. Although Richard Sherman and DeForest Buckner have been a good leader, but Richard Sherman's that kind of veteran. If you have two veterans on the Niners that still have playing him, or that still have playing both, do you think about possibly having our defense getting even more better? Because for one, our safeties could get better, our secondary could get better, and they could even mentor the whole defense in getting better. So I'm all for Earl Thomas to San Francisco. I don't know about the other Niner fans, but I'm all for it. I think he still has playing him, and I think that possibly there's a few things that could bait Earl Thomas into becoming, or into getting in, suiting up in that 49ers uniform. You know, Richard Sherman's there. He plays his former team twice a year. He's staying in the NFC West and the Bay Area. Who doesn't like the Bay Area? So, who knows? But I really do hope. I really do hope the Niners go out full out and try and get Earl Thomas this offseason, because that would be perfect. And for one, it would, my friends call me, but for one, it'd mentor our defense into getting better. And for two, it's Earl Thomas. He's a stud. He still has playing him, and I'm all for it. So I hope the Niners go out and get him, but if not, it is what it is. We can either go out and get Greedy Williams if we really want to. I'm all for Josh Allen. I don't think nothing's going to persuade me otherwise. So either way, hopefully the Niners go out and get Earl Thomas and try and get him, you know, to become a Niner, because I'm all for it. But Niner fans, in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think. And to all the other NFL fans that are watching this video, maybe you're a Seahawks fan, how would you feel if Earl Thomas, do you think the Niners could have a possibility at landing Earl Thomas? I think there's a very good possibility, but I think it'd take a lot, because he wants to go play for the Dallas Cowboys. And if we don't get him, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we have a draft ahead of us, and we could go out and get a different safety. But Earl Thomas, I would really appreciate him even more if he would come to the Niners. But like I said, the advantages that are set are pretty good advantages, and it could possibly end up being that way. He's reuniting with Richard Sherman, his former teammate. They were both in the Legion of Boom back in the good Seattle days. So it is what it is, though. But at the end of the day, hopefully the Niners go out and try full-fledged and go and get Earl Thomas, because I think that we benefit from that majorly. We need another defensive back, and I think Earl Thomas would be perfect. And also, Robert Saleh, our defense coordinator, has also coached Earl Thomas. So I've heard they both have a good relationship too. I heard a lot of the Seattle defensive guys had a very good relationship with Robert Saleh. So who knows? But at the end of the day, if we don't get him, life goes on. Hopefully we can get even better than getting Earl Thomas. But I really want the Niners to go out in full-fledged and get Earl Thomas this offseason. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of Earl Thomas to San Francisco. And hopefully it happens. But with that being said, I just want to come on here and talk about it, because I've seen a few reports saying that he could possibly come to San Francisco. So I'm all for it. Earl Thomas to San Francisco is in full-fledged, or it's going full-fledged until this offseason. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video here, and go Niners.